Hi, everyone. Welcome to Kismet. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am here to share about all things related to the magical nature of being human. Um, all the miracles, the possibilities, the synchronicities, as well as all of the ways that we bump up against those shadows and inner struggles. And to me, all of life is kismet. And I like to share this through the lens of astrology as a tool of awakening. I think astrology can be incredibly insightful and empowering and support us to really see ourselves. So, if you would like to support this show, support my work, please click the like button and subscribe. And I'm going to just do like I always do and jump right in. So, as we move into the summer months, June, July, August, and September, we're in what I would call a chrysalis energy. And this is because the solstices and the equinoxes are connected to a life cycle, a moon cycle. And the imagery for this is the cycle of the butterfly. So there's this feeling of entering into the new birth or the egg being born at winter solstice. And then in the spring, we have the caterpillar that is born. And then when we get into summer, we enter into the chrysalis phase or the cocooning phase. And then fall is the rebirth of the butterfly and entering into the final season. So I love this imagery and I love this connection to this chrysalis, this cocooning energy that we're invited to enter into during the summer months. And this is a space of the imagination, creativity. It's a realm where we're redefining things, where we're um, creating something from an unseen realm. And that very strongly relates to the initiating energy of summer, which is Cancer season, which is a water energy that relates to our unconscious, which is the unseen realm. This is all of our beliefs that are deep inside of our body. Now, these themes, the solstice themes, the butterfly theme, the imagery for the moon cycle, right? These are all symbolic. They aren't exact always. And you are going through multiple different metamorphic experiences in life, and they don't all happen at the same time. We go through different metamorphoses at different parts of the cycle. So if this particular energetic isn't resonating at a super strong level, try to tune in with the more subtle energies of what's happening or transforming in your life. So we have already accomplished quite a bit this year. We've changed, we've grown, and with the summer solstice shift into Cancer season, we're really invited into this cocoon to dive into the depths and see what is waiting for us deep inside. What are we feeling? What are we doing to nourish ourselves? What's ready to be transformed, and what's wanting our attention? Then when we go into to Leo energy, we're going to tap into that pure imagination, that creativity, that bliss of expression and beauty and what can be. And the last sign of the summer season is Virgo. And we enter into Virgo at the end of August and into September. And this is about taking all that beauty, all that depth, and bringing it into some kind of form. It's about implementation and it's about a formulation energy before we enter into the fall chapter of our lives. So, July 2025 starts off with, as I talked about in the last podcast, a lot of exciting energy. Venus is conjunct Uranus at the very last degree. And this is going to be bringing up some unexpected energy, some surprises, some breakthroughs. If you want to check that out, you can listen to last week's episode. But July is also bringing us some really big um, other transits. Uh, Namely, first, we have four planets that are going to go retrograde. Neptune in Aries is going to station retrograde on the 4th, same day as the Uranus Venus conjunction. Then we're going to have Saturn stationing retrograde on July the 12th, and Mercury stations retrograde on July the 17th, and then Chiron at the end of the month. So each of these retrogrades are going to be opportunities for us to get more clarity. And this is about, getting into the thick of things. This is about revisiting themes that need to be examined. Maybe we're going to go back over similar tests or challenges in order to test and see where are we, how do we really feel about this. This is what helps us get clarity. So sometimes the tests come to show us, how much we have grown or changed, or maybe to reveal where more growth or change is needed. So please be patient with yourself during all these retrogrades. So there's a little bit of a slowdown, but at the same time, we're going to have the planet Uranus move into Gemini on July 7th. And this is the first time that Uranus has moved into a new sign since 2019. So we're about 6-7 years of this cycle of Uranus in the sign of Taurus. And here it's about to move into the quick, speedy, excited energy of Gemini. And this is really what I wanted to talk about today, because Uranus changing signs connects with the themes of a 7-year cycle that relates to our becoming. 7 years is a symbolic cycle. Everyone has probably heard of like the 7-year itch. It's also a framework for the life cycle that we go through of transforming and growing and evolving. So many people have heard that saying that the body renews itself every 7 years. And we know that it's not that, everything happens all at once, but in about 7 to 10 years, we do have a completely transformed cellular body. And so this is symbolic also of how we're changing in our, inner world and in our emotional, physical, spiritual evolution and growth. So yeah, we could say that a 7-year cycle is both physical, emotional, spiritual, and these are renewals. These are marking points. 7 is a spiritual number that relates to a feeling of completion or a perfecting of some part of our evolution. So it's interesting that this year would be one of those collective turning point years, because this year is also a 9-year and has to do with endings. So the collective is going through what we would consider a change in a 7-year cycle. And this is because both Saturn and Uranus relate to 7-year cycles. Saturn has a 28 to 30-year orbit around the entire zodiac, but Uranus has a 7-year in each sign, 84 years around the whole zodiac. So while Uranus takes 7 years to move through a sign, it takes Saturn about 2.5 to 3 years to move through a sign. So every 7 years, Saturn has moved a quarter of the way through the chart. And the Saturn-Uranus energy is very significant in our capacity to go through expansion and constriction. It has a lot to do with how we're going to grow and evolve. Excuse me. Excuse me. So this year, Saturn started to progress into Aries for the first time. And this happened in, I believe it was March. And then we have Uranus getting ready to transit into Gemini for the first time. And this will be the first time in 84 years. This is going to happen on July the 7th. And I pulled the chart for exactly when Uranus transits into the sign of Gemini. Now, this is not going to be the complete Uranus moves into Gemini and that's it. Uranus is going to move into Gemini, and then at the end of this year, it's going to move back into Taurus, and we're going to finish up some things from that Uranus transit through Taurus energy. And then in April, the end of April next year, 2026, both planets are going to fully move into the new signs, Aries and Gemini. So Saturn moving into Aries, Uranus moving into Gemini, and this will happen early in the first part of the year, and this is where we're going to feel that real significant shift in our lives. Okay, I really gotta change now. So this energy from now until, April is this very in-between phase that we're in. And we're kind of ending something, we're on the precipice of a new beginning. And some of us, because we don't all operate at the exact collective level, might be a little bit ahead of the game, so to speak. We might have already started this evolution. We might be progressing on one that we have been working on. So we're actually meant to feel unsettled every 7 years-ish. And this is because of Uranus's energy. Uranus is a disrupting energy. So when it's getting ready to change signs, it is time for us to go through this unsettling. Uranus is about disrupting, it's about liberating, and it's about taking us to that next space of freedom. So we want to break out of the stagnancy. We want to clear out old patterns. And this is going to reveal where the soul is ready for that next understanding that we're capable of containing for ourselves. This is also about that connection to our intuition, which is again why I love the idea of the butterfly and the caterpillar, because the butterfly is so connected to its intuition. And so each year in each 7-year cycle, we are building this greater connection to our own inner guidance system. So if you feel anxious, you feel unsettled, this is supposed to be happening so that you can grow both physically, emotionally, and of course, spiritually. And some of us are growing in technical skills as well. You could be growing in any kind of way. Whatever way is important and it's specific to you. Of course, like always, you want to look at your chart. You want to see where does 0 degrees of Gemini begin in the chart? Where is Taurus in the chart, to see where these are specifically connecting to areas of your life. So there's this feeling of being ready to do the things we're afraid of. We're often very afraid of letting go of what is known and what is comfortable. And some of us are more afraid of that than others because of our unique astrological designs. Stepping into an unknown space can threaten our feeling of stability or livelihood, right? If I do this new thing, then I'm no longer going to be able to do the thing that I've known and that's felt safe for me. Or maybe if I do this new thing, will I be loved? Will I be accepted? In order to trust the inner part of us that's connected with the Uranus energy, we have to be willing to take some risks. And this could have to do with many different areas of your life. And everybody's risks are different, but they're important for your unique journey. So think about when a 7-year-old goes through their changes from about 7 to 9, a lot of cognitive changes start to happen for children. They start to think differently. They're going to new schools. There's schedule changes, right? There's a requirement and an ability to actually focus for longer periods of time. And so every 7 years, we're expected by our soul's nature, by our evolutionary nature, our design wants us to grow in some way that is uncomfortable. So then you think of going into the age of 14 and, all of the changes in the body, the autonomy of the body, all of the hormonal changes. 21, we have that next layer of letting go and stepping out on our own, right? There's these external markers that also relate to these inner changes. And this is all about this self-discovery. So for this cycle, Uranus has been moving through the sign of Taurus since 2018, and it officially moved into Taurus in 2019. So between 2018 and 2019, can you think back and see what was happening for you around this time? What was being shaken up? Or any time over the last 7 years, what has been shaken up in your life? Where have you needed to let go of what you were clinging to for safety? You can be looking at and thinking about also the signs of Capricorn, the houses ruled by the sign Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, because this is where Saturn moved through over the last 7 years. So what's shifted in your life? How have you grown? And as you look into this next 7 year cycle for yourself, what are you feeling is ready to grow? You can specifically look at what houses Gemini is ruling in the chart to get an idea, to get a feel for, does this match with what you're feeling intuitively? And of course, you also want to be looking at the Aries and the Taurus parts of your chart, because that's where Saturn is going to be moving through the chart over the next 7 years. Saturn's going to move through Aries, Taurus, and then Gemini. Now, what's really fascinating to me is that Saturn and Uranus are in their closing cycle. So this means that in the next 7 years, which will be 2032, Saturn and Uranus are going to make their conjunction. And this is going to happen on June the 28th at 28 degrees of Gemini. This is going to be a powerful reset. And so we're closing out their signotic cycle. The last time that they were conjunct was in 1988. So every 45-ish years is when we have this conjunction, and this is a really powerful and important moment of synchronicities, awakenings, new birth experiences. This is about taking your power back at the most fundamental level. This is about becoming empowered. So if you have planets or points around 28 degrees of Gemini, this is something that you want to be thinking about even over these next 7 years. How can you see yourself evolve and change? And what do you want that pinnacle moment in 7 years to look like? So take some time to contemplate this, and ask yourself, what area am I wanting to free myself in? Who could I be in 7 years? I tell clients this all the time, but you can completely change your life in 7 years. And this is why I think that the 7 year cycle is so interesting and really fun to look at. Even think about, who were you 7 years ago, how much you've changed. This is very important for aligning to your own truth and your own authentic intuition. Now, the Gemini energy is also very related to polarities, to yin and yang. And as Uranus is going to move through Gemini, there's going to be a huge invitation to let go of the polarized thinking. Because polarized thinking is about being on one side or another. With Uranus moving through Gemini, it is about understanding there is always more than one perspective, and we do not have to swing to one side or the other in order to be safe. So this transit is going to teach us how to be safe within polarities. This is also going to be a powerful time to learn how to listen and how to speak with grace, because Gemini has to do with both listening and speaking. So if listening is something that you struggle with, then this would be a transit where you would want to be learning how to listen, how to contemplate, how to be more introspective. Because maybe you're more expressive, then Gemini is also very good at being, or can learn to be very good at contemplation. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't say that this transit is going to increase polarity for some people. Of course, that is going to happen because we do not live in any one-sided world, and the shadow is always going to be present. This is not something that we need to fight against or worry about. All you're here to do is be responsible for your own life and not trying to fix or solve the problems of the world around you, because you will exhaust yourself and you will also live in projection. So remember that, what you seek, you will find. And years and years ago, this was something that I really set my heart on, which was I'm going to seek truth with all of my heart. And with that, you will find what you seek with your whole heart. Our heart is our energy center. It magnetizes life towards us. So we want to be very clear and very wise about what we're setting our heart's desires on. One of the things, like I mentioned, that I've set my heart on is freedom. I care about being liberated inwardly. To me, inward liberation is about being completely authentic to who I am. And I seek to create spaces for other people who want to do that as well. I think that this is one of the most powerful things that we can do. When you're inwardly free, you don't have to control anyone or anything outside of you. And this is where you can have peace, power, purpose, and actually experience love. So if this is something that is interesting to you, reach out. This is what I do in somatic release and reprogramming work. I support you to release what's blocking you so you can free your own unconscious mind to get back in the driver's seat, to get your power back so that you can actually create a more fulfilling life. So July 7th to November the 8th, this is this time where new things are bubbling up, new insights, a new door might open, a new chapter is happening for you. Maybe you're developing some new skills during this time. Maybe new forms of expression are happening for you. You really want to consider what's happening. And then as we move from November 8th till the end of April, we're going to finish out something within that Taurus energy. So this is why I love transit readings and connecting to our unique journeys, because the more we can bring that into our awareness, the more we can clearly begin to let things go. Everything happens and unravels in cycles. It's not like you don't just pull the Band-Aid off, right? If you just pull the Band-Aid off, the wound still has to heal. So everything in life takes time. And this is, again, why I love talking about these cycles. So amazing. So, like I said, we're not quite in that next chapter yet. Maybe some of us are really already kind of in the beginning of it, but what's going to unfold over the next year or so is going to be giving us a lot of insight as to what it is our hearts are desiring to expand into. So if you're like me, you get excited about the possibilities for your life, about what could change, about who you could be, about what could happen. This month, I'm going to be hosting 3 events. July the 4th, a Freedom of Abundance workshop, and then the full moon on July 10th, and the new moon in Leo on July the 24th. I would love to work with you if you're interested in unraveling, going to these deeper layers. I fully believe in your unique path. And so this is why I love astrology, looking at the transits. You can reach out to me or schedule on my website at kismetmystic.com. And I hope any or all of this was supportive and interesting to you. If you would like to stay connected, then subscribe. And I hope that you are going to have an amazing July, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.